today's edition of our PHP tutorials training. Today we'll be talking about PHP operators. The last time that we met, we talked about constant, PHP constant, and we got to know much more about constant. So if you don't have any knowledge in PHP constant, you can go back and visit our previous video to learn more about PHP constant. But today we're talking about PHP operators. So to begin, let's say PHP operators. Okay, so let's begin. PHP operators are used to perform operations on variables and values. PHP operators are used to perform operations on variables and values. So we've already learned about PHP variables. So we know that in creating a variables, we use the $sign, then the name of the variable that we want to create. So we can create a variable like age. So this is a variable. So it is used to perform operations on a variable or a value like, let's say, 4, 5, and even 0.5. So these are values. So PHP provides us with different kind of groups. That's the operators. So let's try to find all the groups that PHP provides us with. So one, we have the arithmetic operators. So we are listing them, then after that we'll come back and talk about each of them. So two, we have the assignment operators. Then three, we have the comparison operators. Then 4, we have the increment or the decrement operators. Then we have the 5, we have the logical operators. 6, we have the string operators. We also have, that's the 7th, and we have the array operators. And the last one, we have the conditional assignment operators. Okay, so now we will take them one by one to discuss, and you also try our hands on each of them as we move on. So these are the various groups of operators that we have. We have the assignment operators, the arithmetic, comparison, then we have the increment or decrement operators, the logical operators, string operators, and then we can also have the array and then the conditional assignment operators. Okay, So let's try to go through each of the groups one by one. So we'll start with the arithmetic operators. Okay, so with the arithmetic operators, arithmetic operators, so we'll try to move along with the coding aspect. The arithmetic operators are used with numeric values to perform common arithmetical operations, so such as addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and the rest. So we can have example like, let's say 1 plus 2. This is a simple arithmetic operation, and in this side we have something that we call the operands and then the operator. We have the operands and the operators. Okay, so let's try to perform a simple arithmetic operations. So let's try to give the various arithmetic operations that we can perform. So you can have the addition, the subtraction, you can also have the division as well. The division, you can have the multiplication, then we can have the modulo. So in programming or in PHP, we use the percentage sign to represent modulo. Then we can have the exponential or the exponentiation. So in programming too or in PHP, we use the multiplication sign, double one, to represent the exponential sign. Okay, so these are the various arithmetic operators or operations that we can perform. So let's try to create a simple PHP file. Then let's try our hands on these kinds of operation, different kind of operation that we can perform. So I'll create a new file. Let me save it first. Okay, so we save it in our exam htdocs. Then I have a folder called PHP tutorials. So this one I'll call it operators.php. So let me save it here. So there is it. Then I'll start with my less than PHP, question mark PHP, then question mark greater than. So inside this code that code of blocks that I'll execute my PHP script. So let's try to perform the first operation that we had. So we saw the addition. So in PHP we can say that maybe echo, then we can say 5 plus 6, then we bring our semicolon. So this is an arithmetic operation that we are performing. So let's save this and try to open it in our browser and copy the path. Okay, so let me open my browser, then let's try to paste it. Then let me change. So starting from the C to the htdocs is what we refer to the local host. But before, I've not turned on my XAMPP server, so this site can't be reached. That's the error. So I have to first turn on my server. So I'm using XAMPP, so I open my XAMPP control to turn it on. So this is it. So I'll turn on the Apache. So this is what I need for now. Then I'll minimize it, then refresh. Okay, let me also turn on the MySQL, but what we need is Apache. Okay, so you can see that we have 10 displaying. So it's sum the 4 and then the 6, giving us the 10. So for my definition, I said that we use operators to perform operations on variables and values. So this is the value type. So okay, let's take this one off and let's create a variable. So variable, this one is, let's say, first number. Then let's assign a value, let's say 8 to it, and let's create another variable called second number, and let's assign another variable, let's say 12 to it. So we can say that echo first number plus second number, just like this. Let's save it and then let's try to refresh our browser. So you can see that we have 20 being displayed. Even with this, we can even add a number, a value to it. Say, let's say 30 to it. Save it, and we still have our operations working out perfectly. So we see we have 50 being displayed. So this is for the addition. We can also perform the same way perform subtraction. So let's try to subtract. Let me take this one off and save it. So we are subtracting 8 from 12 from 8 rather. We are subtracting 12 from 8. So let's refresh. So you can see that we have -4 given to us as our answer. There's it. It's working out perfect. So the same way applies to the rest. That's the division, multiplication, then the modulo, and then the exponential. So we can even divide. So let's save it, then refresh our browser. So you can see that after dividing it, we have 0.6666, or the rest giving us the answer. And then we can try to add the modulo. We can find the mode of a number. So 8 mode 12. I don't know. Let's try to refresh. So we have 8 mode 12 giving us 8, and we can take the second number away and let's say mode 2. So combining variables and then values to work together, so giving us 0. So the modulo basically talks about remainder. It always gives us the remainder. That's it. And let's take the modulo sign away and let's use the exponential like this, and let's save it. So after saving it, we have 64, meaning 8 times 8 giving us 64. So this is for the arithmetic operators. Basically this is for the arithmetic operators. So we can quickly move to the assignment operators. So let's quickly move to the assignment operators. So with the assignment operators, it's just like you're assigning a particular value to maybe a variable. Let me put it that way. So assignment operators. Okay, so the assignment operators, so we have the equal to sign, we can also have the plus equal to sign, then we can have the minus equal to sign, we can also have multiplication equal to sign, we can have division equal to sign, we can also have the modulo equal to sign. So these are some of the assignment operators that we have. So let's try to quickly move to our coding part, and let's try our hands on these examples or these assignment operators that we have. Okay, so this is a typical example of an assignment operator. So we have this and this. So these are example of assignment operators. So we have the equal to sign. We are assigning the value 8 to the variable called first number. So when I call first number, let me take this one off and save it. So when I try to call the first number, you see that we have 8 as our answer. So let's try something. Let me come to the next part and say first number, then let me assign a different value like 56 to it, and let me still call the first number. So let me save it, and let's see if you have the 8 as we had. No, we have 56 because we've changed it and we've assigned different value to the first number. So this is a typical example of the equal to assignment operator. Okay, now let's move to the second part of it. So we have the plus equal to. So having the plus equal to, let me create another variable down, and let's try with that one. Assuming I create a variable a and assign 10 to it, let me create another variable called b and let me assign 20 to it. Okay, now I create a variable, let me use the same variable a and then plus equal to, let's say b, variable b. Let me use the variable b like this. So using this is just the same as saying that, okay, let's add variable a and b, and then let's store it inside variable a. So what we have here is similar to this one. So let's add variable a and b, and then let's store it inside variable a again. So let me take this echo off, or let me comment it. So we have comment. I don't want this part to run or to execute as part of our code, so I'll comment it using the /. So this is a single line commenting. Okay, so let me take this one to off. We'll come back to it later. So now let me try to echo variable a. So let me echo variable a, and let's see what happens. So I'll save it. We have a as 10, then b as 20, and we are adding variable a and b, and we want to store it inside a. So with this thing, instead of us having 10 you'll be getting 30 as our answer, or 30 being displayed inside our browser. So let me refresh and see. You can see that we have 30 being displayed in our browser. So let's go back and let's use the old method that I took off. So I said it's just like saying variable a is equal to variable a plus variable b, and then so let's save it again and let's open it inside our browser. So you can see that we still have 30 being displayed. So the first one, which is this one, and the second one are the same. So that is for the plus equal to. This is very much similar to the rest that we have. That's the minus equal to, the multiplication equal to, division equal to, and then the modulo equal to. So let's try to edit this one to do the subtraction, then multiplication, division, and the rest. So let me take the plus off and let me make it minus. So it's very much similar as saying that, okay, now let's subtract b from a, and then let's store it inside a again, just as we did for the addition. So let me comment this one, and then let me try to display the answer in a, and let's see what happens. So I'll save it and then refresh my browser. So you can see that we have minus 10 being displayed because the minus sign is affecting the 20. So it's very much similar as to saying that a minus b, then let's store the answer inside a. So now let's move to the multiplication aspect. So it's just a matter of me changing the minus sign into multiplication sign, and I'll save it again. So it implies the rest of them. So I would like to end for the assignment operators, and we can move to the next group. So we have 200, that's 10 times 20. We have 200 as our answer. So let's try and move to the different group, because the rest is much similar. That's using the division sign and then the modulo sign. They all work the same. So let's see the next group that we have. We've talked about the arithmetic operators, then the assignment. So we are moving to the comparison operators. So the comparison operators are used to compare two values. So we use the comparison operators to compare between two values. So supposing I have two and we want to check. So let's say the comparison operators. Okay, so with the comparison operators, we can say we have the double equal to, we can have the triple equal to, then we can even check for not equal to. The not equal to, we can have this and that. That's the less than and greater than sign to also check for not equal to. We can have let's say not identical. This is the not identical sign. Then we can also have the less than and greater than, and we can have the less than or the greater than or equal to, then we can have the less than or equal to, just like this. You can have it just like this. So use this one equal to, use this one to check for identical. This one is for not equal to. and this is also for not equal to, and we use this one to check for not identical, and we use this one to compare for less than, greater than or equal to. Then we have the less than or equal to. So for this one you have to pardon me to use I'll add a condition statement. I know we've not gotten to that place, but we can try as much to see if we can really do something about it. Or let's try to do something to check if we can do away without the condition statement to check if a certain thing is equal to or not. Okay, so if you don't want to use the condition statement, then we have well, let's try. You can use the var_dam to check, but it will be much perfect to use the condition statement to test. So var_dam just like this, but we are not going to use the var_dam. But yeah, let's use the condition statement. That's the if, else if, and then the else to check for our comparison, to make our comparison. Okay, now let's try to comment this one. So we would like to use the same value that we use here to check. So first, let's check if variable A is equal to variable B. So let's use the condition statement, that's the if. We'll get to that part later. So if, then we'll try to check if it's exactly true. So if variable A is equal to variable A is equal to B, variable B, then let's perform, or let's try to say something. But if else so if it is not equal to, then what should we say? So now if variable A is equal to B, we can say that echo something like variable A. So we want to call the value for the variable A is equal to, then let's call the value for variable B just like this. Else, then we can say that echo, so if they are not equal, then we can say that variable A is not equal to variable B, as simple as that. So we want to, this is a condition statement, we want to check if variable A is equal to variable B. So let's save it and try to refresh our browser. So you can see that we have 10 is not equal to 20, because they are not the same. 10 is not equal to 20. So let's try something. Let's change this one from 20 to 10, and let's save it. Then let's try to refresh our browser. So you see that we have 10 is equal to 10. This means that it meets, or it satisfies the first condition, which is this one. So let's take it back to 20. So we are done with the first one, equal to, checking whether they are equal to or not. So let's try with the not equal to. It works the same way. We can check if A is not equal to, like this. So not, there's an exclamation sign, then equal to sign. So if A is not equal to B, we can say that variable A is not equal to b, else it means they are equal. So variable a is equal to b. So let's save it, then refresh. So you can see that 10 is not equal to b. That is for the not equal to sign. So let's say it works for the greater than, the less than, and the greater than. This one and this one, they are all the same. So let's move to the identical. Let's move to for the identical. So with the identical, it checks for the data type. Unlike the equal to one can be a string, and the other one can be an integer or a double or any type. But with the identical, it checks if the value are the same and also they are all of the same data type. So assuming that I have 10 here, let me put 10 here, but this time around this 10 is of the data type string. Let's put it this way. So when we use the equal to sign to check, say if a is equal to b, let's say they are equal, a is equal to b, else not equal to, like this. Let's save and then refresh. So you can see that we have 10 is equal to 10, despite we have the second 10 being a string. Let me take this one off so that you can have a proper view. Despite the second one is of data type string, still we have equal to. Okay, now let's try with the identical. So with the identical, it checks if the value are the same and they are all of the same data type. So let's save this one, then let's refresh to see. You can see that we have 10 is not equal to 10, simply because even though they are the same, they have the same 10, but they are not identical because the second 10 is of the data type string and the first one is of an integer. So if I take this one off and I save, this time around I have them to be equal or identical because they are all of the same value and they are all of the same data type. So if you want to check for the reverse, that is not identical, we take off one equal to, then we bring the not sign, that's the exclamation sign, and it will work for us perfectly. So let's try to move to the different. So we've talked about the equal to, identical, not equal to, and then not identical. So let's quickly move to the less than and greater than, then less than or equal to, then the greater than or equal to, so that we can move because we have a lot to cover. Okay, so let me take this information off and take this information off. Let me take the one inside off. Let me take these ones off because I'll be needing them. Okay, so we have the same a and b. So let me change the b to 20 again. Now let's check for less than. So we can say that if variable a is less than variable b, then let's try to say variable a is less than variable b, else it means that variable b rather is greater than a. So if a is less than b, else then b must be greater than, or no, I'm confusing myself. So it's to check if A is less than B, then A is less than B, else B rather is less than A, or A is greater than B, so B is rather less than A, just like this. So let's save it and then refresh. So you can see that 10 is less than 20, which is obviously true, that 10 is less than 20. So the same implies to the greater than. So if B is greater than A, if A is greater than B rather, so if A is greater than B, then meaning A is, if you echo A is greater than B, else B rather is greater than A. Okay, so let's save it, then refresh. So you can see that it didn't satisfy the first condition, but rather the else part took place. So you see that 20 is greater than 10. This is because the first condition was not satisfied, because 10 is less than 20, and you can check if it's less than or equal to, and it will work for greater than or equal to. So let's work with the greater than or equal to. So we bring the equal to sign. So you want to check if A is greater than or equal to B. So if it's greater than or equal to B, we can say that A is greater than or equal to B, variable B, else let's put it in the inverse way, otherwise we're very much confused. So if A is greater than or equal to B, we should say that A is greater than or equal to B, else meaning A is less than variable B. So let's save it and then let's refresh. So you can see that we have 10 is less than 20, which is obvious because 10 is not greater than 20. And we have the same works for the less than or equal to. It works the same. We have much to cover, so we have to hurry up, move with a little bit speed, because we have a little much more to cover. So they are done with the comparison operators. Let's try to move to the increment or the decrement. Let me check the time and see. So we've talked about, so let's deal with the increment, and we will pause for today, then we'll continue the other time. So let's talk about the logical the increment and then the decrement operators. The increment and the decrement operators. So the increment and the decrement operators are used to increment a value or decrement a value. So in case you want to increase a value or decrease the value. So let's move to the increment and then the decrement. The decrement operators. Okay, so with this we have the plus plus sign. Then you can have the minus minus. These are the basic increment and the decrement. So the plus plus is for the increment, and then the minus minus is for the decrement. But in this case, we can have the pre-increment and we can have the post-increment, the same as the pre-decrement and then the post-decrement. So let's begin with the pre-increment. So with the pre-increment, the increment sign comes before the variable that you want to create. Let's say, for example, variable a, like this. So this is a pre-increment. Then the situation where we have the variable coming before the increment sign, this is called the post increment. So this is the post, and we have the pre-increment. So it's the same, it works for the same as the decrement. So this is a pre-decrement, and we have the post-decrement, just like this. So let's quickly move in to see how we can work with this decrement and then the increment stuff. Okay, so now let's quickly move to the code, and you make the meaning out of the pre and the post. You make the meaning out of this information. Okay, now let me try to comment these off by using the multi-line commenting. So the multi-line, we use the first slash. I don't know if it's a backslash, then the multiplication sign, that's the asterisk. Then we come to the latter part of the place where you want to end the comment, then the asterisk sign, then the same slash. So this is the multi-line commenting. Okay, so with the, let's try with the post and the pre-decrement, and let's see how it works. So let's save it and let's move to our browser, refresh, and we have nothing on our browser. So let's begin with the pre-increment. Okay, so we have a variable a, and it's of with the value 10, and now we want to echo. So echo, then we want to do the pre-increment. So plus plus, then the variable a, like this. Let's save and watch what happens. So refresh, then we have 11 being displayed. This is simply because the pre-increment will always add. Well, let's move back, let's move to the post, then I'll come back and explain it very well. Now we still have our 10 because this part is not working, and let's try to echo again. Let's try to echo. This time I'm using the post increment rather. So let's save this, then refresh. So see, the first one we had 11, the second one we had 10. This is because with the pre increment, first the value is first added before it's being displayed, but with the post increment, the information is first displayed then after that the increment is being done. So let me comment this, and then let me again echo a variable a again, and let's see what happens. So let me refresh. So you can see that we have 10, which is for the first one, and we have 11 again. So this is because with the first one, the information displayed the first variable, that's the 10, before it went on to add the 1, or it went on to increase the value of the variable a. But with the increment, the information is being increased before it's being displayed on our browser. So that's the difference between the pre-increment and then the post-increment. It works the same as for the decrement. So let me take this once off and again echo. This time around, let me use the minus, then variable a. Save it, refresh, and then we have minus 9 rather, because it first decreased the number, then displays it. But when we use the post, it will still give us our 10 back. It gives us our 10, but after giving us the 10, it will decrease it for us. So this is all for the logical operators. So we'll continue with the next session of operators in the next tutorial, in the next video. So thank you very much for coming or for viewing these tutorials, and I hope you understand it much better, and you have much in-depth or much knowledge in PHP operators. See you in our next video, and thank you very much. Goodbye.